it's my algorithm, but I see Shiloh and Shedeur more than I've ever seen any undrafted guy or fifth round guy on social media in the history of Instagram, Threads, Twitter, X, whatever it is. Like those dudes are everywhere. And they caught some of Deion's strays, right? Deion had a level of greatness that was untouchable. Right? Deion could say, yeah, I'm not interviewing with these people because I'm not going to be there in the draft. Deion could say, hey, I already ran 140. I ain't effing with no more of this testing because y'all already know I'm top 5 and it ain't tripping. Watch the film, know who I am. That's the difference between, I think, Deion and who his kids were. And then I think Deion's approach to it made other people, Deion's fame, right? Deion's success, Deion's ability to one day be a head coach in the league. Also, Deion's ability and what he's done in navigating the present, right? When we talk about college of his children and now going into the pros, this was the first thing he couldn't control. And they was like,
you think you understand what really happened during Shedeur Sanders' draft process, but you don't. Ryan Clark just dropped a bombshell that has the entire NFL world stunned, and it has nothing to do with Shedeur's arm strength or pocket presence. Clark claims the whole situation was a calculated hit job on Coach Prime himself, using his own son as the weapon. For the first time in Deion Sanders' legendary career, a man who controlled everything from his playing days to his coaching rise, he suddenly found himself powerless. Shedeur survived 6 different coordinators, elevated his game every time, played behind offensive lines that couldn't block a breeze, dominated at Jackson State, then leveled up again at Colorado. His production spoke loudly. Yet during the draft cycle, none of that mattered. Instead, all we heard were character worries, personality critiques, and whispers about him being unprepared. Criticisms that had little to do with football and everything to do with taking a shot at Coach Prime through his child.
So many things about Shedeur during the draft process were character, personality. All these things that we can't prove on the outside, right? We were able to watch.
Reports about him wearing headphones and other claims began circulating, things that couldn't be proven but also couldn't be fully denied. Ryan Clark saw through it immediately, pointing out that every report focused on allegations no one could refute and no one could truly verify. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a deliberate strategy. When critics couldn't attack the game film or question the statistics, they shifted to attacking character, creating whispers that turned into rumors and then into concerns that NFL teams felt pressured to investigate. The real twist, according to Clark, was that this wasn't even about Shedeur at all. The young player was simply collateral damage. He wasn't the true target. Instead, the narratives built around Shedeur Sanders were being used as a way to get to Coach Prime, turning a son into a weapon to settle old grudges with his father. It went far beyond football competition. And shockingly, it worked. Because for the first time in his legendary career, Deion Sanders found himself in a situation he couldn't control.
How does it make you feel when you see your colleagues or your peers going in on you, man? Like, how does that make you feel?
No idea, man. You have no idea. They've always been in front of the camera, so they know how to navigate. They know how to handle themselves. Yeah. And you're not gonna catch them in no foolery and no mess. You're not. When you sit up there and say something like he went in a meeting unprepared, like, dude, Shedeur Sanders, who's had 6 different coordinators, who has still functioned and went up, leveled up every time we brought somebody new in, and you're gonna tell me he
every situation.
You're gonna tell me he had on headphones.
So you a dog, your kid's a dog, and dogs gonna always rise to the top. You know what I mean? That's what I believe. You know what I mean? Then we're talking about
it did hurt. The Bible says God uses the foolish things to confound the wise. So it was some foolish stuff that went on, but you know what? That gave them something that they needed.
He was a man who wanted the idea of him coaching in the NFL that they took shots at his children first, which wasn't competition but fear. Ryan Clark noted that Chris Carter's comments likely hurt the most because he was supposed to be a peer, while legends like Michael Irvin and Keyshawn Johnson defended Shedeur and spoke well of him, showing the real difference was that they weren't threatened by Deion's success. Ironically, the attempted sabotage backfired, as Shiloh and Shedeur became more visible on social media than many drafted players, turning hate into exposure and making Shedeur more famous than many higher picks. Now in Cleveland, with Joe Flacco not being the long-term future and Kenny Pickett not seen as the answer, it comes down to Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders in a quarterback competition. And after dealing with rumors, character attacks, and difficult playing conditions, a training camp battle won't intimidate him. Instead of breaking him, the smear campaign fueled him, giving him something to prove to everyone who tried to tear him down. Ryan Clark pointed out that Deion's greatest pain came from always being able to protect his kids and feeling like his own success may have painted a target on them, revealing a rare and deeply human side of Coach Prime. Shedeur's game has been built through adversity, going through 6 different coordinators, elevating his play each time the competition got tougher, processing the game quickly, and showing an underrated arm that was overlooked because evaluations were clouded by his family name. Now, Shedeur Sanders stands in the NFL ready to prove doubters wrong, while Coach Prime has seen how personal vendettas can shape narratives, and Ryan Clark exposed what many see as a coordinated smear disguised as draft analysis. The sabotage meant to destroy his future instead created a revenge story, and the real question now is what happens when he starts making plays in Cleveland and proves the character concerns were fiction, fueled by more motivation than any rookie quarterback in recent memory.